Justin, you want to kick us off real quick?
Absolutely. So first off, thank you all for day two, joining us day two of Damn Music Fest 2020. This here is officially the artist development sessions. And like I mentioned before, our 1 o'clock session was with Grammy Award winning Ace Harris. And today, our 3 o'clock session is with Nora and Sto. They have what is called office hours with Sto and Nora, and the information is super insightful. And I guarantee, this is a last name good guarantee, you will leave here with some tools to further your career, whether that career is in music or corporate settings. All of the information that will be given here within the next 40 to 45 minutes is valuable information. So feel free to take some notes. Feel free to put some questions in the chat. All of that information will be looked at and vital, and we'll hope you guys enjoy what you have here coming forward. So without further ado, Nora and Sto, take it away.
Yay!
We really appreciate that intro. We really do.
So we're going to jump into it. I'm going to share the screen with everyone's permission. But I do want to stress, as Justin said, please use the chat, ask us questions, let us know what you're thinking. Let me make sure that this is still recording. Okay, good. Just making sure. So what we're talking about today is practical things that every independent artist should know. Sto, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, what's up, everybody? Big Sto, you already know who it is. Get a damn website, first and foremost. But I work with taste creators as a consultant for artists, content creators, etc. I also literally just released the second volume of the Boom Bap Review just a few days ago. I'm also the owner, or co-owner rather, of Everybody's Hip Hop label, just helping people out, not just with releasing music and whatnot, but the marketing and promotion that is behind that.
And I'm Nora Rahimian. I'm one of the co-producers of Den Music Fest, so super excited to play double duty here. Basically, my work is about empowering independent artists to be successful without having to give up financial freedom or creative control. Sto and I together do Office Hours, which is a weekly YouTube series where we answer artist questions and provide really practical information around things that artists can do. And so this is what today is kind of an overview. All of these topics can be their own workshop. We can go really, really in depth. So our YouTube series has more detail on that, but also if you have any questions, please feel free to ask, and we'll delve into it today. There are no stupid questions. I think sometimes in the industry, people are like, oh, you don't know that? Or, there's a lot of kind of shaming. And so we really want folks to feel safe in asking questions that might seem obvious or simple, because that's what we're here for. So to jump into it, kind of the basis where we want you to start thinking about is if you're thinking about art and music as a career, then you really have to approach it as a business and not a hobby. And what that means is, one, really thinking about what your organization is like. So a lot of artists will say, oh, I just want to make music all the time. And that's amazing. But if you want this to have a financial return for you, if you want it to have some kind of leverage for you, you really have to suss out the difference between a hobby and a job. And so one is making sure you're organized. And what that means is having regular meetings. If you have a team, with your team, if not, just with yourself. Ooh, sorry, I see that typo. Even if it's just with yourself. Sorry, I'm also trying to make sure everyone gets admitted into the room. So really being organized around your team and checking in, what are my goals this week? What's happening? What emails do I need to follow up with, so that you're organized? Sto and I often talk about making sure you have a plan. The other piece is having a business plan. So what are your clear goals? Is it to make money? Is it to get placements? What is the outcome that you'd like to achieve? And having a business plan that gets you there. The strategy is going to be whether you use social media or what you do with it. But the plan is going to be critical. And I think sometimes what happens is artists will have a plan, but maybe not be so honest with themselves about what's working, what's not working. Oh, I'm popping in my city. Okay, well, how many shows have you done this week? Or how many projects have you sold? And then the numbers don't match up. So getting organized, having a business plan, and there's tons of resources online for how to build out a business plan, but then also being really honest with yourself about what's working for you in this plan and what's not working for you, so that you can make adjustments, right? The ability to kind of evaluate, reevaluate, analyze is going to be really important across your career as an artist.
Yeah, and so I have the tendency to ramble sometimes. So if I'm going on too long, let me know. But be proactive in your career. That is so important, especially now with venues being closed, most festivals, aside from us, of course, shutting down and whatnot. I watched a lot of artists and content creators be like, oh my goodness, there's no way I'm going to make money. Shut it down. I'm retiring. There's no way I'm making music ever again. Whoa, 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 whoa. Let's hit the brakes real quick. Especially now with everything shut down and the fact that we can connect through the internet, you can create your own opportunities. Whether through shows, we just did this yesterday. We had performers from all over the universe performing and being able to connect audiences from all over. So that's just one way you can kind of take things into your own hands. Merchandise. A lot of us, whether it's between, you know, album art or just designs that we're creating on our own, fans want to be able to represent you or represent whatever product you're selling whenever you move, or I'm sorry, whenever you leave the house or whatever, whether it's shirts. I've seen lighters, I've seen all types of just stickers, banners, posters of album art, all of that merchandise. It's things that you can sell that allows people to represent you and express themselves through what you're selling. Collaborations, relationships, and press. So I like to kind of interweave those, just because there's a lot that you can accomplish simply by building with people and genuine, you know, we talk about this when it comes to networking, to network across rather than trying to reach someone who's at the absolute top. When you work together vertically or whatever, you're kind of working towards the same goals. You're able to collaborate with people that are more willing to share their resources, that are more willing to kind of work together and kind of do a give and take type deal when it comes to collaborating. So I think that's important too. And with press, you don't have to wait for, you know, I feel like this is kind of dated now, honestly, so I'm not sure if I should say it, but you don't have to wait for a complex article to blow you up. Just don't work like that anymore. You know, there are smaller publications out there that genuinely listen to the music, that genuinely engage with the culture, that actually care to see smaller artists and creators get out there, that actually respect everybody in the field. You can go out there and make those asks and reach out yourself. You don't have to wait for somebody to hit you up. I'm kind of speed it up a little bit, but take risks, try new things. That's so important, only because I see a lot of artists kind of, well, I saw so-and-so do it, so I'm gonna do it too. There's something only you can do that has to be done. I genuinely have always believed that. And so what you bring to the table, your uniqueness, your quirkiness, whatever it is, that draws people to you. So when you're experimenting with new content or trying new advertising strategies, that gives you invaluable data, whether it works or not. If it works, obviously, you know to keep doing it. If it doesn't, that means, okay, we can kind of refine it and maybe try something else. And then last, quality over quantity. I love this one as well. I see so many artists trying to copy the Griselda formula. Well, I'm just going to pump out a bunch of albums and hopefully I'll blow up. Somebody will like something, but it doesn't work like that. Regardless of whether it's Griselda or even Megan Thee Stallion, who's become extremely prolific over the last few years, everything they put out is still quality. It is still mastered to the best of its ability. There's still a plan behind these singles, behind the visuals. It's not just, I'm going to throw out a song, tweet it out a couple times, and then, oh, damn, it ain't work, so I give up. And then last but not least, clout and cosigns, that won't save you. It doesn't work, people. We don't need to be chasing after that. We draw people to ourselves because we are amazing, because of what we do. We don't need to be chasing cosigns from people who aren't even really messing with you like that. It doesn't result in the ascension, I guess, that a lot of artists seem to believe that it does.
The most important part of this piece is that you don't want to wait for someone else to determine your success, right? So rather than waiting for someone to invite you to do something, or rather than waiting for some celebrity to like give you a cosign, you can start to create for yourself and for your peers these kinds of opportunities and networking. And so it's being very proactive about seeking these things out rather than watching and waiting. And I will say, one of the things that kind of sucks proactiveness is when you spend too much time studying what other people are doing, or spending too much time scrolling on social media, and you get stuck in comparing yourself to others, and that stunts your creativity. And so if you're going to be on social media, for example, make sure that you're using that for creating your opportunities rather than chasing a cosign or comparing yourself to others. That's where I see artists really get stuck.
Yep.
Once you figure out kind of what your plan is, what your goals are, the next thing to really start to think about is, who is your audience? Who are the people? You have a product. Who is the audience that needs that? So I often ask artists, well, who's your audience? And they say, everyone. And as much as I know you want everyone to love your music, everybody is not your niche. You can't please everybody. And you will actually end up losing people by trying to be everything to everyone. And so really understanding, making a decision about who do you want your core to be. And what you do with that is you signal to them. You say, hey, here I am. Here's what I have that you've been looking for. And you build a bridge for them to come find it. So once you understand your niche, that will help you inform decisions around pricing, where and when and types of events you do, what kind of merchandise you have, who potential partners could be, who potential collaborators could be, what hashtags are they using, what communities are they a part of, so that you can put yourself in front of them, right? This goes back to being proactive. You can put yourself in front of your fans rather than waiting for them to miraculously find you. The questions that you see on the screen, and I really invite you to take a screenshot or take a note of these are questions that I want you to think about when you think about who your audience is. What I hope you notice is that there's nothing about demographics on here. There's nothing about geography on here. They're really questions designed to help you understand the psychology and the psychosocial needs and motivations of your core audience. If you understand what they need, if you understand the problems that they're facing, then you position yourself as the solution to them. And maybe it might not be the music, it might be other things that you do, or it might be what you represent, or it might be you as just like a funny person, or your personality, but somehow you find in your brand, you position yourself as a solution to their problems. And so I want to make sure everyone gets a chance to screenshot these, because what I would offer you as homework, let's say, is to really take some time and think about, who is my audience? And the thing I'll add is, sometimes people will say, we'll look at what their analytics tell them. And that's not what I want you to do, especially if you're early in your career. More people don't know you than they do know you. So allow this to be your chance to imagine and really think about, who do you want to attract? Not who's already there, but who do you want to bring into your ecosystem? Who do you want to bring into your fandom? So that once you have that in mind, you can start to put out the signal and the markers with some of these things, the merch ideas, the type of content, the hashtags, the partnerships, so that you start to bring in those people. Does everybody have the screenshot? Let me see some thumbs up. Awesome. Thank you.
So at the end of kind of all of this, we want to build a direct relationship with our fans. And one of my absolute favorite kind of, I don't know, kind of, I guess, mental wall breakers that I like to use is the rule of 100. So you have an album, you've 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 got the content, you've got 3 months before and after your release to promote it. You've got all that set out. Awesome, thank you, Nora. And so with 100 fans, and Nora has the example of them spending $100 a year. I like to start off with just, if you're just putting out a $5 digital album, you're not pressing up physical copies and all that jazz. If 100 people buy into that, that's $500. Period. End of story. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. 5 times 100 people equals $500. That's a lot. And like, I mean, obviously, it's not, we're not jumping into the a sea of gold like Scrooge McDuck from DuckTales, but it's a good start. And so when and the whole goal is to kind of build upon that. And so, but to get to that 100, right, you're trying to build that connection between yourself and an audience member. So with that comes a relationship, and with a relationship comes reciprocity. And we kind of talk about this all the time on office hours, is the minute that you're saying, hey, go spend X amount of money on my product, you are officially making an ask. And that requires some level of trust. We say this all the time. If someone random just comes up to you on the street that you don't know and was like, hey, buy this $5 product, I don't even know who you are. I just met you. What are you talking about? That's what it looks like sometimes when I hop on social media and I just see, yo, run this up, yo, or like, put this on your playlist, and just like, there's no context, there's no effort, there's no bridging the gap between yourself and the audience. You're literally just telling them to do stuff for you, and that's kind of it. And so don't just ask them to support you and whatnot. It's very important to engage with them, talk to them. If someone responds to a tweet, or even if it doesn't have to do with music, maybe you're just talking about, hey, it's kind of crazy that the entire world's on fire, and feel like we could die at any moment, and someone responds to that, you're able to bridge that gap and kind of be like, yeah, like I'm stressed as well. And it kind of goes back to the psychosocial stuff that Nora is always talking about, and it's what causes us to feel that connection to other artists. I love using Megan Thee Stallion as an example. She's always talking about, it's not always just about, yo, run this up, listen to my music, run up this video. Whether it's anime, whether it's makeup tutorials, whether it's just her sitting in front of the camera and be like, yo, I understand what you're dealing with right now. Here's how I can help. All of that causes us to, I guess, put more emotion in, and to feel like we're connected to her. She's not just a rapper or a celebrity who raps. There's so much more behind all of us. And it's that personality that kind of brings this all together. So with that being said, you are trying to meet your audience and community's needs as well. This isn't just about, let me see how much money I can make off of a record. And I think the majority of artists feel that way. I don't think artists want to just have records sold. They want to leave that everlasting impact. But that takes time. Just like with any relationship, whether it's a friendship, whether it's with family, whether it's with a partner, it takes time to build that. Don't just hop in and be like, yo, buy this, buy this, buy this. Oh, you ain't buy this? Well, you must not like me, so I'm blocking you. Like, it takes time to cultivate that relationship, and time to build that community. To the last part, where would you be without social media? That's extremely important, because time and time again, we've seen it so much, especially this year. Accounts getting hacked. I've seen so many people with verified accounts get their accounts hacked. That's mind-blowing and not good for kind of what the future holds. If verified accounts, which are supposed to be the most secure, whatever, on Twitter, are getting hacked, that means any of us can get hacked at any moment. So You know, Instagram, I think, went down a few months ago for the billionth time, I think. We already know how messed up Facebook is. All of these platforms, and even the newly popular Clubhouse. I haven't even been on the damn app yet, and it's causing all types of issues and problems. So if any of these platforms disappear, how is your audience going to connect with you? How are you going to communicate with your audience? That's where things like a newsletter comes in, where you can, whether it's through your website or through, you know, just your own email list, you can communicate with people who have given you their email. It's the connection I like to say all the time. Someone has been introduced to what you bring to the table, and they have said, hey, I'm willing to give you my email so you can keep me up to date with everything that you're doing, working on, and feeling. That's a knockout home run. That there's no other, like, aside from, you know, a straight $1 million deal just landing in your lap. That's someone literally saying, hey, I want to know what's going on. Please keep me informed. If you have a new project coming out, I'm interested enough in you for you to let me know, because I want to check that out. You have to take advantage of that. Of course, Bandcamp, to me, is the best platform to upload music, just because it gives you the opportunity to make a profit while also determining how much something costs. It doesn't have to be $10. Also, if someone buys your song, you get the profit. It's not on some, you're getting paid less than a damn penny per stream. Oh my goodness, I'm getting a headache just thinking about it. But also, lastly, get a damn website. Get it. You have to get a website. I'm begging. It's almost the end of the year. We only have like 6 weeks left. It's such a good tool to keep everything that you've ever done and ever accomplished in one place. Social media is not forever. Literally, the minute you post something, you have about maybe 24 hours for the peak amount of people to see it, unless it goes viral. Most of us aren't going viral like that. A website allows you to keep everything that you've ever done and everything that you're ever going to do, announcements, news, videos, all that jazz, in one spot. I apologize for ranting. Let's keep going.
I think one of the things that's important to touch on is, it's easy to say, build a community, but how? And the way that you do that is by sharing with your audience. And so, to Sto's point about sharing about the personality, the interest, but also like asking your audience questions, getting to know them, showing them that you care, and showing, I think sometimes, especially in hip hop, we show the glitz and glamour and we don't show the struggle, we don't show the process. And so if you can include them in the beginning of something, then your audience is invested in the outcome, because they've been there along the journey with you, they've seen the growth. And so sometimes it requires a little bit of vulnerability, but it's in that vulnerability that your audience attaches and engages with you. And about the part of what we're talking about here is this idea of cultivating a small core fan base and growing from there. So it's a different model. If your business plan, right, is to get thousands of streams on Spotify, which will probably make you like 20 cents. But like, if your plan is to go the streaming platform, maybe some of this isn't going to fit you exactly. But if your plan is to find small group of audience that's going to help you make more money, right? Then you can start to transition from being a sometimes artist and working a full-time, like, regular job, and you can start to transition into being a full-time artist. And so that's what a lot of this is designed around, is to slowly and gradually build real organic following that gives you a higher return that lets you make that transition. So the relationship with your fans is key and critical and cornerstone, but so is your relationship with other artists and with other people in the industry, with your peers. And so I think sometimes we talk about, oh, we're in competition, I can't let someone else have this opportunity because that means it's less for me. But that's actually not true. You're not in competition with others. And so really starting to think about what collaboration looks like, because it allows you to cross-pollinate and grow together. So part of this is how important it is to network horizontally. We often look at people who are ahead of us or have some kind of quote unquote clout or status. Those aren't actually the people that are going to help you. The people that are going to help you are people who are at or around kind of the same level with you, right? People who are on lineups with you, people who are at events sitting next to you, people who are doing the same kinds of things that you're doing. One, because they're accessible. Two, because it suggests that you both have fans, have similar fan bases that are interested in new music discovery, that are interested in independent artists. So there's something about your fan bases that's going to make them more receptive to new music. And then it allows you to grow together. So really thinking about what networking horizontally looks like. Also thinking about cross-pollination as a strategy. So how can you collaborate with one another and share across platforms, right? So actually a great example is Sto and I work with, we run office hours. We're here on Den Music Fest. So we're cross-pollinating because office hours has been talking about Den Music Fest, and Den Music Fest is now talking about office hours. And so our followers or fans or viewers come here, and Den Music Fest fans or followers go to office hours. And so we're both growing our network and working together. I think one of the other things we see often in the industry is, oh, I got here by myself, I did it alone, which is also a myth. No one does it by themselves. And so don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it. And whether that's a consultant or that's someone to write your bio or that's marketing help. We talked with Ace Harris earlier today about how important financial literacy is. So maybe it's a financial advisor, but to know that as an artist, sometimes it's hard to do everything yourself. And so don't be afraid to reach out and ask for help, and to do research around the things that you need more information around. And then finally, that when you are collaborating and when you are building these relationships, to think beyond the transaction. Hey, what can you do for me? What can I do for you? All right, thanks, bye. But to really focus on finding common interest, common values, common ground, because that's what's going to set you up for long-term success together, right? So versus being like, hi, I'm the head of this, here's my title, here's my credentials, really finding what are the things we both like,
Right.
What are the things we're both passionate about? And that's where the kind of relation, and I'll tell you, there's people that I've met where we've talked about like music, we've talked about, I lived in Liberia, we talked about Liberia, we talked about, things that had nothing to do with the music industry, that then because we made that human connection turned into, oh, actually, we should do something together. And then that turned into a project. And so to really understand that that kind of authentic, grounded relationship building is going to give you longer returns, even though it doesn't always look that way.
Word. So next, not being afraid to stand out, kind of leaning into things that make you unique. Now, I know for me personally, this was kind of a challenge starting off. I think a lot of us know who we are, but I think expressing that can be kind of difficult sometimes. So even for me, whether it's hobbies or, music, again, like we talked about earlier, all of these things make you unique. So develop an authentic brand, have a personality. I talk to artists about this all the time. You don't have to be or copy anybody else. I see this a lot where it's like, oh, well, I'm trying to be like, so-and-so, or I'm trying to tweet like that. What you bring to the table and who you are is, again, like I mentioned earlier, it's what draws people to you. Trying to copy and trying to be someone else, the people are just going to go and listen to that someone else. So kind of harnessing what you bring to the table, I think is extremely important. Be original in your sound. There's nothing wrong with, like, obviously being inspired and influenced by certain artists and whatnot. I am, of course, as well, but still making sure that you're providing an original experience. Again, I go back to the Griselda example just because I feel like so many people are kind of copying off of them, but it's like, that doesn't make sense. You have your own voice, your own experiences, your own stories, your own journey that you've gone through to get to this point. I don't want to hear you tell someone else's story. I already done heard that from someone else. I want to hear you. What makes you you? And again, outside of the music, when you're, again, whether it's tweeting or posting on a certain platform or whatever, just again, being true to who you are. You're not trying to, I don't know. You don't have to be performative, I guess, on social media, I guess is what I'm kind of getting at. I remember kind of falling into that trap and being like, oh, well, I have to talk a certain way or whatever. Nah, F all that. Just be yourself. I feel like that's what's most important. And that's what, again, draws people to you and bridges that gap between artist and fan.
Yeah, and look, there's a ton of good music in the world. So the things outside of music are actually the things that make you stand out. People at the end of the day connect to people, and so that personality, that value, is going to be part of what makes you stand out. This is also a really good place to think, going back to what we talked about as understanding your audience and understanding your niche. This is a good place to find out where that overlap is. If your audience loves anime and you love anime, awesome. That's a way to talk about it. Or if your audience is into sneakers and you're into sneakers, awesome. That's a great thing to talk about that differentiates you from the rest. Another way to differentiate yourself, and this is becoming increasingly important because audiences are demanding that the artists, the companies, the brands that they support are talking about these things, is to use your platform for social good. And whether you have a gazillion followers or you have 10, you are in a position of influence as a creative person. And so really thinking about what does it look like to speak on issues that are impacting your fans, right? If your power as an artist comes from your fans. Your fans are impacted by socio-political things. And so by speaking up in ways that matter, you're telling your fans, I care about you. I value you. And so you're deepening that emotional relationship. What it does is it builds long-term buy-in and affinity. Your fans remember, hey, so-and-so spoke up, stood up, did something about this. And where you might maybe lose a couple fans, you'll gain not only other fans in their place, but you'll gain fans who are kind of more bonded. It also, in a more strategic way, opens you up for new opportunities for partnership and collaboration. And I've seen artists get ambassadorships. I've seen artists get, deals and like opportunities to tour, to speak, to work on projects based off of the fact that they're using their platform in a positive way. And so it helps differentiate you, but it also helps your audience win. And so in this case, it's a win for you, it's a win for your fans, and it's a win for the community.
So last but not least, of course, take care of your mental health. I think this is extremely important, especially now, but this was definitely important beforehand. One of the dangerous pitfalls I feel like as an artist creator, just as a freaking human being, is comparing yourself to others. It is very easy to like open up social media and be like, damn, how are they getting, numbers or retweets or, so's cosign? Get that out of there. No, we're not comparing them. We get out of there. Because again, we ourselves bring something to the table. We ourselves hold value. And again, we kind of talked about this earlier. Social media is literally just a snapshot of the bigger picture, especially in the times I feel like everybody's up right now. And I feel like it is kind of how we're using art and whatnot. So just cooling it on comparing yourselves to others, because you have your own path. You're not here to walk literally the same path and get to the exact same spot as someone else. You're walking your own whole path. So keep that in mind. Overnight success is a myth. Read that again. Overnight success is a myth. Overnight success is a myth. Every time I see it every year, and it breaks my heart watching artists feel as though because they've put in a couple months or a couple years of work that they should be at a certain position. Listen, I've been in this for 14 years and I'm still not where I want to be. And I feel like a lot of us here have been in the game for a long time and aren't exactly where we want to be. But it's not overnight. It's not, oh, well, I've decided I'm going to put out a song and yeah, hopefully it gets 1 million views in one weekend. Jay-Z will fly me out and I'll just be on a yacht smoking Cubans and all this other jazz. It doesn't work like that. We have to take the time to put in the work. We have to take the time to build the audience. All of this stuff takes time. After that, surround yourself with good people. This, again, is important. It's not about clout. I don't care if, a writer from insert publication here is hitting you up. If they're garbage and they're exuding certain behaviors or whatever, like that's gonna hurt your career more than it's gonna help it. Surround yourself with people who are pursuing the same things that you are, that kind of have not necessarily the same beliefs, but at least believe that, as humans, we all deserve a decent experience here. Surround yourself with people that actually care about their audience and whatnot. Ask for help if you need it. Obviously, that's something even I'm still working on. It can be difficult, but again, 2 minds are better than one. 3 is better than 2, and whatnot. Like, I'm not here talking in Den Music Fest without Nora. Period. There's no way around that. And the work that we've done together, I've learned a lot, and we've been able to have an impact that I didn't believe I would have at this age. But because we've been working for so long and genuinely helping each other and teaching each other and whatnot, it's got us to this point. So there's nothing wrong with asking for help. And I feel like in a lot of cases, people are willing to do so. And last but not least, hot damn, my favorite one, get some damn rest. It's the end of the year. This year's been insane. I feel like I've lost 5 years just this year. So a lot of stuff has gone down. A lot of us are feeling stressed, tired, exhausted, just ready to anything's better than this apocalypse that's happening. But give yourself some time to rest and relax. We need you out here. And it's very hard to give 100% when you aren't fully rested. And listen, as an insomniac, like I have this issue as well, but it's so important to at least try to get rest, so that you can move with a clear head and whatnot. All of that. So rest, take breaks, and get some sleep. Try to get 8 hours if you can, but I won't judge you if you can't.
I just want to explicitly say, when we say ask for help, we talk about like finding support if you need like someone to help you with marketing or press or whatever, but also if you need help, if you're struggling with your mental health and you need help, there's no shame in reaching out for a therapist or a support group or mental health counseling or something like that. That your personal well-being is a critical part of your success. Sometimes we think about it as an afterthought. Oh, I'm too busy to take care of myself. Right. But your physical well-being, your mental well-being are just as foundational. And so sometimes in the industry, we hear all this toxic, oh, I can sleep when I'm dead. I got to hustle. I can rest when I'm successful. And that's not healthy. And it's also not true. And it's not productive. And so making sure that you are surrounding yourself with people who care about your well-being, have your best interests in mind, and thinking of what your health looks like as part of your success is something we really want to stress, because there's a lot of counter messages to this that we receive in the industry. We're going to open it up to questions in just a minute, but to wrap us up, I want to leave you with the idea of the industry is always changing. And so study it, learn, do your research, but also, check in with yourself about what might be important to you, and that what's important to you might change over time as well. As I mentioned, Sto and I do office hours every first and third Tuesday of the month on YouTube. That link will be in the chat if you want to subscribe, if you want to watch episodes. We have specific episodes on newsletter, on niche, on some of the things that we touched on today. And then if you ever have questions, both Sto and I do one-on-one consulting. So definitely reach out to us. And if you have successes and you just want to tell us like something amazing that happened, 100%, we love to hear that stuff. So I'll give you all a minute to screen share that, to screenshot that. I'm gonna stop the share in a second. And open it up to questions. I know we touched on a whole bunch of things really quickly. And so if there's things that you want us to go further into or that you have questions about, feel free to unmute yourself or drop it in the chat. We'd love to see your faces if you feel comfortable turning your video on. But any questions for Sto and I? Oh, okay. Israel asks, what's a trait that you believe any successful artist needs? You want to start that off, Sto?
For me, it's consistency. That's consistency and patience. Those are, and I'll add content to it. I know that's not a trait per se, but those are my three like big things. You have to be consistent. Again, one thing I see with a lot of artists are artists that will disappear when there's no record to push or whatever, and then, oh, I'm back on social media, I have a record to push, go run it up. And it's like, well, hold up, we haven't seen you in like 20 years. Who are you? So like that's if you're consistent with your posting and whatnot, whether it's newsletters or your website or whatever, it builds that habit, and then it's no longer this weird kind of again, it's not like the whole random person coming up to you on the street and being like, hey, buy this product, even though I don't know who you are, never asked your name, and don't know anything about you. And then patience. This is a long game. This is not, if you're only in the rap game to blow up in 3 months and hopes that that'll set you on a career to support your family and all this jazz for the rest of your life, you are sadly mistaken. This is a long haul. If you want to be an artist, you want this to be your career, you have to treat it like one. And part of that is understanding that this is a process. This is a journey. There's going to be slip-ups. There's going to be setbacks. There's going to be perceived failures. But to me, failure is just when you finally throw in the towel and just like, all right, I'm not rapping anymore. To me, that's actual failure. But if you understand that there's going to be those setbacks and mistakes made, and that you can learn from all of that to build on your career, I feel like you've already won.
Yeah. I mean, I think the kind of strategy that Sto and I offer is not your, like, I would never tell you to buy followers. I would never tell you to payola. I would never, right? What we're talking about is building an organic, real base. And so that does take time to build, but the rewards are greater. I think the trait that I would say is really important is vulnerability. Because you need that vulnerability to connect with fans, you need that vulnerability to reach out. But there's also, I think, a degree, like the willingness to do something that feels scary, but to do it anyway. I'm going to try something different from what everyone else is trying, but I'm going to do it anyway. And then to open that up to your audience, to open that up to your fans and let them into that journey is scary. It's vulnerable, but it also has such a great reward when you do it. Silva and Gold asks, I use ASCAP, and my question is, does a publishing company matter for me? Should it be LLC? Should I purchase both writers' rights and publishing? Good question. So do you want to break down some of that for people too, so they, in case, like what ASCAP is, some of that kind of stuff?
Right. So I'm not going to pretend I'm a super pro on any of this, because even this year I'm still learning about some stuff. But from my understanding, ASCAP is what helps you get paid when your music is being used kind of outside of the streaming zeitgeist and all that other stuff, whether it's in stores, movies, et cetera, et cetera. My whole thing is always like, you should have ASCAP, and I'm drawing an absolute blank on what the other one is. But
BMI.
Yeah, BMI, you should have one of those two. But from what I'm understanding is that doesn't necessarily mean that your music is perfectly copyrighted. So my thing is make sure that your music and lyrics and all that jazz is copyrighted as well, because you would be very surprised, I think, or maybe not surprised, to see how many people, celebrities and otherwise, be stealing lyrics, stealing beats, videos, kind of like, I don't know. There's so many different lanes to go in with that, but um, you should get your music copyrighted along with making sure that you have ASCAP and um, BMI. Sorry.
Justin, you have your hand up. Do you have a question, or is that an answer to this? You can unmute yourself.
Yeah.
Sure. I wanted to speak specifically on the question about publishing.
Mhm.
So ASCAP, BMI, there's another company, CSAC, they're all pros. And what they do is they gather your information, right? So
Sorry. Pros are PR or PROs or publishing rights
organization. Sorry, thank you, Nora. So, for example, if your song is playing on a radio station in New York, they'll be able to track that. If your song is digitally playing on iTunes, Spotify, all of that is tracked through your pro, right? And so myself, I have ASCAP. I would tell any artist that's on this program, whether you have ASCAP or BMI, I would strongly suggest that you have both a writer and publishing. The prices do vary depending on the organization that you're with. However, it is a huge advantage. You're basically getting paid twice on any time a song is recorded and distributed. Uh, the song is broken up into two halves. There's a writing share and there's a publishing share. And so, for example, in this case here, if Nora Sto and I, we did a record together, we would have a writer share, which all of us wrote on, even if there's a producer is also a writer on that record. And then there's a publishing share. So in my case, I have my name is Justin Goodwin. I'm a writer up under Justin Goodwin, but my publishing company is making music since 1984. I would get paid twice on that record because essentially the record is broken into two halves, one for writers, one for publishers. So I would tell any artist, make sure that you invest on the early end and get both. I know BMI is free for writers, but they do charge a little bit more for publishers. And with ASCAP, the price they charge for both writers and publishers. But I think every artist should have both, no matter what the case is. It's just better prepare you, and you're getting paid every month. And another thing too, Nora, and I'll leave on this. Uh, Artists, if you're performing right now, I know that we're in COVID and we have not been able to get into some venues, but when you do start back performing in these venues, make sure that you are notating that, because you do get paid performance royalties for performing inside of a venue. These venues actually have to pay small fees every year to all of the pros in order to pay you later on. So when you perform a 15-minute performance in your hometown, there's a good chance that that place, that venue that you're performing in, actually pays royalties to you. So, and it might be a couple of bucks, it might be $20, $30. If you're a touring artist, you'll know that you get paid to perform in these venues double time. So make sure that you're notating the time you perform, the date you performed, and the name of the venue, and you can actually input that information with your pro and get paid 3 to 6 months later from that performance that you did.
Yeah, thank you, Justin. I mean, that perfectly answers the question. The thing that I would add to that is when you are writing or co-creating with someone else, because of what Justin mentioned about the writer's split and the publishing split, to make sure that when you're in that co-creation process, you talk to your co-creators about what your splits are going to be. Hey, we're all going to get equal share, or I'm going to get 80% and you get 10%. And that's what they call splits. And when you register the song, you have to put in who are the writers and how much does each person get. And so it's much easier to have that conversation early in the process than the song has blown up and it's made you all millions of dollars and now you're squabbling over money or someone's not getting credit. In terms of LLC, that's also good to think about. LLC's limited liability corp. It's a legal kind of financial standing. And so to think about, how do you want to protect your personal assets from your business assets? So if you were to get sued or let's say you use the sample, you didn't clear it, that'll protect you from them coming after what you have versus what the business or you as an artist have. And so it's a good thing, you know, we're not lawyers, we're not like financial experts in any way, but it's a good thing to think about and discuss with your kind of legal or tax or financial person to think about how can you best protect yourself. Thank you, Justin, for helping answer that question.
Yes, seriously.
Grand Wu asks, how has the transition been for you both since the pandemic? What keeps you going? Oh, one more thing, sorry, going back to ASCAP and BMI, those are US-based publishing rights organizations. And so if your music is doing really well outside of the US, it might be worth your while to look at what are publishing rights organizations or collection agencies looking like internationally, and making sure that you're also registered with those so that your money is being collected outside of the US as well. Okay, so Sto, how has the transition been for you since the pandemic?
It's been quite the roller coaster, but I think I think a lot of it is just understanding the bigger, I guess, picture of it all, and understanding like this state of things that we're in right now is not forever or whatever. Yeah, I can't front. It has been difficult, but I think, trying to keep artists motivated, I think, through all of this, and trying to keep myself busy and whatnot, and trying to find time to rest, helps. And then what keeps me going, honestly, is just understanding that, like, we need art. We need in whatever form that is, not just music, but we need art. And for me, again, I mentioned this at the top, I remember when things started shutting down, and I remember artists and creators all over the place just kind of entering a panic and being like, oh, how am I going to make money, and how am I going to support whether it's my family or whatever, or my career, or even just people that are chasing a dream. Seeing that just kind of lit something under me, and was like, I refuse to let some of my favorite acts and artists just disappear because of all of this. So that's kind of what's kept me kind of grinding through all this. And yeah, what about you, Nora?
I want to bring everyone's attention to the chat. Both Apollo and Natalie have shared PRS for Music, which is the publishing rights organization in the UK. So thank you, Apollo, for sharing that. I think for me, because my work has always been international, we've worked virtually for so long. And because I've always been very relationship based, the real day-to-day hasn't changed much. I think the big transition for me has been more internal. I've definitely learned how to ask for help, because I'm always like, oh, I'll do it. I got it. And so learning to ask for help, because I can no longer just do it by myself, has been really helpful. And honestly, the thing that keeps me going is the fact that I'm surrounded by good people. I only work with people that I like. I only work with people that are values aligned, who share the vision about how we need to overthrow patriarchy, white supremacy, and capitalism. And so it makes me feel like the work that we're doing is even more important now, because we're seeing the pain and suffering in real ways of how capitalism is hurting us, how white supremacy is hurting us. So that's what keeps me going. Like, the work that we do has impact. And if we don't do it, who's going to do it? And so it's as much about supporting good people as it is making the world a better place for all of us. So yeah, it's real. Yeah, I want to really thank everybody for coming out and asking these questions, participating in today's conversation. Natalie has shared a bunch of resources in the chat, so I hope you get a chance to look through those. If you missed Den Music Festival yesterday, the whole festival is up on YouTube, and there's some people in the room today, Apollo, Rocky Tyree, Sylvan Gold, who had amazing performances. So shout out to all the performers. We have one more artist development session at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 o'clock East Coast time, so in an hour, where we're going to be going more in depth actually into this question of pivoting. Now that things are socially distanced and it's going to be like this for a while, how can artists pivot? What does merch look like? Things like that. So come back again in an hour. We'll hang around for a couple more minutes if you have questions. But thank you all for coming to Den Music Fest 2020. We'll see you in a little bit.